everyone, it's Movie Lover 120 here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review, and this is going to be for a horror film that just came out the same week as Free Guy. Yeah, there's actually two films that came out on the weekend of my birthday. There's Free Guy, and there's Don't Breathe 2. I think you could pretty much guess what this review is for. Yes, it's for Don't Breathe 2. So, now, for those of you that probably do know, I consider Don't Breathe among one of my favorite horror films of the 2010s and one of the better horror films to come out recently because, for many reasons. One, there's no woke propaganda. Two, it's not some stupid Blumhouse shit for once. And three, it's pretty well directed. It's by the same guy who directed the Evil Dead remake, which is one of the better horror remakes to actually come out. So yeah, I would give the first one a 9 out of 10. So when I heard they were making a sequel, I honestly couldn't wait. But I kept waiting years and no update came. Till finally, they revealed the storyline, and then this one, the evil blind man from the first one is now the protagonist. So yeah, in a way this movie kind of goes like... So yeah, this one kind of goes like with Devil's Rejects, where the villain is the protagonist. So what's the story of this one? The film is set 8 years after the first one, and Norman Nordstrom has been hiding those 8 years in an isolated cabin and took in and raised a young orphan girl from a house fire. Eventually, their quiet existence is shattered when a group of kidnappers show up and take the girl, forcing Norman to leave his safe haven to save her. So yeah, that's pretty much the plot. So like I said, I love the first one. It was a huge surprise, and while I was glad that we would be getting a sequel, I felt it was kind of unnecessary in a way, and I did go see it last night, and I felt it was kind of right. I mean, it's open-ended, but the ending's not really sequel-worthy, but the movie's not terrible, but if they were trying to make this better than the first movie, they kind of failed doing that. But Don't Breathe 2 is still enjoyable, interesting, has a few nice twists but it did not surprise me, really. There's a lack of tension in this one because the old man kind of looks to be immoral, and every time he's in danger, we know he's just going to survive. But I could divide in two parts. The first half is predictable, it's kind of slow, but the second half is a pretty thrilling, unexpected trip. So yeah, you can basically just imagine Green Room meets being there and throwing a pitch of Full House, and then you pretty much know what Don't Breathe 2 ships out to be. Just like there's no need to really figure whether a sequel was a good idea, for the movie was made anyway, but if you're looking for a quick punch in the face suspense horror flick there, I don't think you're really gonna... I mean, if you're looking for some possession door slam shit, then this movie is not for you. If you prefer tension and door slamming and stuff, aka cheap horror, and you remember that part in the first one where he tried to rape the female lead with a turkey baster? Well, there are no turkey basters in this film. But instead, there are a handful of interesting twists on the old theme of being trapped in a house with a blind man filled with rage because he's a bad man, probably because something he did, or because there's something he did when he was a Navy SEAL. So this time, the acting isn't really award worthy, but it's good enough to convey some emotions and tension. I mean, once again, like the first one, I found Stephen Lane delivering a convincing blind soldier fighting for what is, and this time around there's a slight bit more of use of other senses, which brought a slight bit more realism to a blind character. Now, I am more split on the acting, but it's ever slightly separate from it as the choreography for fighting. And again, I really enjoyed the camera work as the enemy goes into goes into that area and friendly uses the environment to get out of the way. But he also uses elements around to conjure up a surprise attack, and that, in my opinion, was well done and made me enjoy the film actually a little bit more. And there's actually some pretty decent gore in this movie. Like with one of the attackers, when Norman is gluing one of his wounds, he senses one of his attackers and he glues his mouth shut. And then when one of their partners comes in, he immediately stabs a hole in the glued guy's cheek so that he'll breathe, and then eventually the glued mouth guy also finds a bit of smashed glass, and he cuts the glue open. That's a pretty good gore shot right there. And during that final confrontation between the actual true villain of this movie, which is this organ donor ring. So yeah, in kind of way you can say they're kind of not really good guys in this film. In a way, I mean, again, Norman's kind of supposed to be the good protagonist, but I think there's just no good guys in this film, really. During that confrontation, he quickly grabs his head and gouges out his eyes with his thumbs. And there's some nice gore right there, but eventually that guy actually survives and ends up killing Norman. Spoilers. Killing Norman. And at the very end of the film, but the girl he's taking care of actually stabs her dad, and he falls into the pool, and he falls into the empty pool. So, but yeah, they're like, the trailer makes her actual true bio father and his club look like kind of good guys, but the movie, they're actually bad guys who actually want to take her heart because his actual wife was actual insides burned in that house fire at the very beginning of the movie. But yeah, other than that, basically the gore is pretty awesome. There are a lot of gory moments in this film, so if you love gore, this movie is definitely for you. And negatives I found here were, of course, the timing. It did feel too long to get to the point, even for such a short film that's literally about only 98 minutes. I managed to find a way for the beginning of the movie to just seem kind of boring, really. And it didn't really strike a chord with me. I didn't really feel much emotions during any of the scenes, really. Just kind of sat there allowing the movie to just play, really. And as for the quality of scares, one thing I was surprised by a lot in this film was the amount of, like I said, the amount of gore. Like, it's just pretty crazy. Like, the first one was kind of absent by design. Like, this one takes more of an exploitation movie approach, which is odd because the character is doing very out of character things, especially in the climax where like the villains are pretty intimidating and powerful, but they're nowhere near the overall presence of the blind man in the first film. When a role where he's been elevated to protagonist essentially just feels like his role from the first film, just with the perspective switched, and the moderately too sympathetic robbers were just because from the first film. I only said two of them because the third other robber who got killed straight away in the first one was not even sympathetic at all. Been replaced with people who are really unsavory. So yeah, overall, I still think it's a good movie despite its flaws. It does seem to draw a line under series, but in my opinion, they don't really seem to. There wasn't really just much reason for this film to be made, really. It's just kind of an unnecessary sequel that's just okay in the end, but it's just not really needed. But so that's my review for Don't Breathe 2. If you are a gore hound, I'd give this movie a watch because there are some gory kills. But yeah, that's kind of mostly it. I'd just watch it if you just love gore, really. And that'll be it for my review of Don't Breathe 2, and here's how I'm going to rank it. I am going to give Don't Breathe 2 a 6.5 out of 10. Alright, and that's pretty much it for Don't Breathe 2. So, we know what that means. Only like 1 week left till Candyman, so I'm actually pretty pumped for that. So yeah, I will make the review for Halloween Horror Movie Review Season 2 very soon. No, not review. Intro very soon, and it'll be kind of like the intro I usually have, except it'll have horror clips, more horror clips this time. So yeah. Until then, that'll be it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Movie Lover 120.